All right. All right. Round three, cold immersion. As always, for those choosing to watch the recordings, we always do a round of like personal check-ins before. So some stuff has been covered and we're coming in hot here. Yeah, so I want to pick up a few of the comments that people made. I also want to cover a few things right from the beginning with kind of two announcements. I think most people should have seen, I hope most people should have seen the email from me that Circle is operational now. It is actually funny enough again, we just shared that like currently living in a bit of chaos because our living room is uprooted as we're re-renovating, but Circle actually feels that way as well. Circle is very empty right now. I was really just focused on standing the thing up. And actually I was planning this week if our living room came together to like populate it a bit more with the events and stuff. But for now, the structure of Circle is operational. Everyone should be able to get in. You should have an email from me. I guess if you searched, yeah, literally Eric at highexistence.com. If you search that in your inbox or spam or whatever, you should be able to find your own individual link to sign up, come in. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, problems, literally anything, you can reply to that and I'll get everyone in. Fairly excited to start building in that space. It's even just way more fun to be on my phone and actually see it update like quickly. Like there's actually a level of responsiveness to Mighty that I've come to appreciate. Write an introduction about yourself. If you go onto the side nav, there's a home section and there's an introduction channel. It's always good practice to try to write a little like bio intro about yourself, because you start seeing like what you're comfortable with saying. You start seeing like how well you can, not how well you can talk about yourself, but just how comfortable you are talking about all the cool shit you do and where you are and who you are. So actually, yeah, if anyone is in there already and wants the next kind of onboarding challenge, write an introduction for the group. Doesn't have to be overly fancy. It can be, where are you? What do you care about? Why are you in this space? What do you want to talk about? And we can, everyone can start chiming in from there. The second thing I want to float to everyone is something that we've actually been doing outside of the community for a number of months now. It actually started last year in a different program that we were running called The Ascent, but we actually have a weekly book club that happens every Wednesday evening. I mean, I guess as more invites come out, we might be open to shifting that date. It currently runs 8 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. And we are right in the period right now of like finishing up a book and about to start a new one. So we're putting out some invites to more of the.
Is that with High Existence or just in Argentina, like you and Chloe are doing that locally?
Oh, no. It's through it. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to be part of your book club. What the heck?
Yeah. It's through High Existence. It actually happened towards the end of last year in one of our other programs called The Ascent. We just happened to start writing down resources, and it was like, we should do a book club, and the book club has not stopped since it started back then. We are about to embark on The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, a really classic book on kind of being in the body.
That's crazy that you said that. I was like literally just having a conversation with a friend just a couple hours ago, and I was like literally mentioning that, and I'm just talking about how like it's so important to like act from your body, and like your mind can deceive you, but like your body always keeps a score. And I was like, not literally like the book, but like literally The Body Keeps the Score. And I'm just like, wait, hold on, I still have to read that book, and now you're talking about it. It's like, what the fuck? Okay, yeah, that's really cool.
Always happens like that. So as I mean, I'm going to be porting the entire event calendar into Circle as well, and I think I'm probably going to put the book club as a recurring event. At the same time, you do not have to, this is not like an ultimatum. It's not like you have to join in the next 3 days or you're never going to get in. Like you can always just jump in whenever. I also say this because we do have or there does exist a little Telegram group specifically around book club. So if anyone wants to join in or even just watch the chat, send Chloe or I a message and we'll add you into that. But yeah, all to say, this is another outlet, I think, of the community. It's been a fun one, actually. It's nice to, after spending so many decades of my life kind of reading shit that I was interested in by myself, it's actually really nice to go through it with people and just be like, yeah, this was really cool for me. Here's how I'm going to weave it into my life. And yeah, it's been fun so far. So a collective announcement and invitation that if you want to come into the book club, there's always room for you. And yeah, we basically just vote collectively on what book comes next. This one just happened to be it. We've done a range. We've done the 4 Agreements. We've done Carl Jung's autobiography. We're just wrapping that up. We did The Righteous Mind, book on kind of ethics and morality. There's another one. Can't remember the other one.
Yeah, we've done. So we started it really, if I can give a little bit of background too. Yeah, we started after the Ascent late last year, like just a spin off, like, hey, we have all these cool resources. Who wants to actually meet and do it together? Because as we know from this community as well, it's super fun to work on stuff together. And yeah, we've done the 4 Agreements, The Righteous Mind, which is about like morality, matrices, Religion for Atheists, Memories, Dreams, Reflections, the Young autobiography. So we kind of skip around. There's kind of, I think, a very similar, like, yeah, high existence themed reading list that we just dig into. And yeah, it kind of just came up. And I think it's kind of cool that this book got floated into book club at the same time as we're doing the cult immersion, like body related stuff. I'm feeling like Body Keeps the Score. And it just feels very timely, I think. It feels like a very timely read as far as the community goes, as far as those of us in book club go. It's just like, yeah, like it's time to kind of make that connection between what the body's doing and how that's affecting our lives. So yeah, just wanted to plug that as well and say, yeah, we're super excited to keep working on the kind of learning stuff together. And it's true, like Evie said, like you don't have to just read and learn on your own. Like it's fun to do it with other people too. Hear their insights, share insights on each chapter as we go. Yeah, and it's very like small and intimate, you know. Again, we try to keep a schedule for accountability and whatnot, but it's really just, yeah, let's read this together, share the things that don't make sense, that we don't understand, as well as like insights. So yeah, it would be super cool if anyone wants to become a part of that. And same as with the community, right? It's like, yeah, you get to follow along, as well as, hey guys, I have this book that I've really been wanting to read. It's been on the back burner. Like, what do you think? You want to read it? It's like, yeah, let's add it in. Let's go. So anyway, yeah, we'd love to see you guys in there.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think any comment beyond that is really necessary. Book club exists as an opportunity if anyone wants to come in. Message any of us and we'll pick it up from there. We're not actually starting to read Body Keeps the Score this week. We're kind of just going to do an overview on Wednesday, and then we basically average out at like a chapter a week. Nothing too complicated.
I'm going to try to buy that book while I'm abroad, I guess, and see what I can come up with. You know, I'm sure it's available, but it's funny, Eric, because me and a few other people won the ritual book during Metamorphosis, and we still haven't received it, but we had intentions of creating a book club around that. There was like a few of us, but then this is like we never got it, so we're just like, okay, the book club will happen, we just haven't gotten it yet. But we've had intentions for a book club for like a few months now, so it's cool. Like I'll still get the book club vibe. So yeah.
Damn, amazing. Can you message me on Telegram the names of all of you and the book? Because I find it strange that those things haven't come yet.
Yeah, I haven't received like any of this stuff yet, but that's okay. Like I know there's a lot of like stuff going on, and but no rush.
Yeah. No, just message me. We'll take care of it.
Okay.
Awesome. Is there anything else on? We did circle. We did book club. I think that's that. Yeah, I'm not going to close out Mighty yet. I mean, I think this is worth saying. I'm not going to close Mighty just yet. For those who have transitioned over, I will like either. Yeah, it's a little unclear, but we'll make sure that the actual Mighty subscription stops, so you're not double charged. I mean, I wrote some of this stuff in my email. It's a little bit of turbulence in this transition, but setting us up for, I think, a much stronger foundation. All right, keeping with the kind of, I really want to make these sessions, particularly as things on the calendar pick up, particularly as courses start coming out, particularly as individual commitments start being weaved more into the space. I really want to make these conversations here, A, more personal, and B, more conversational. So we're largely just going to start and see where we get to. I think I and anyone can come with themes or personal updates, and we can start going from there. But the place I want to start with was actually shared by a few people in the weekly updates right here, which was something like the way it landed for me was you can get in this kind of hype cycle in your head of like building up the story, and the reality is actually not as intense, right? If you tell yourself, oh my God, the shower's gonna be fucking cold as hell and I'm gonna die and it's gonna be way too much, then yeah, it's probably gonna be a really bad time. But on the other extreme side of it is if you're almost, I don't quite want to say distracted, because I don't think that's quite the right frame, but if you're just occupying or directing your attention elsewhere, you can actually be like, oh, this is really not bad at all. Like so much of the perhaps fear or anxiousness or resistance that we have is often just a kind of baseless mental story. You're just kind of like making this thing become a dragon in your head. And it's really just not that bad if you just like went into it. You'd be halfway done it already and be like, oh, great, I'm literally doing the thing. Like that's bad. To weed this out into a question, I mean, I'd love to hear if anyone has a take on that, or if anyone wants to expand on how that related to just the stepping into the cold, anything like that, because I think there's a really important kind of gem of truth in that. Yeah, Darius, kick us off.
Yeah, so this is something, so it's about the cold shower, and I guess the meta take on the cold shower is like something that came up from the retreat from this weekend was this idea of, it actually kind of relates to the nervous system regulation, as far as there's like proto skills that we have which allow us to do basic things. Like when we learn how to swim, we have to learn how to move our arms, we have to learn how to breathe, we have to learn how to be just in water. And so those are all like proto skills that are shared with lots of different things that you do. And so one of those things that like a cold shower does is that it influences the state of cohesion of yourself. And so cohesion in this case is like, how much do things make sense? How much are you able to take a skill and apply it and get a tangible result? Those are all like coherency factors. So there's different directions you can move towards high coherence and low coherence. And a lot of times that's related to how active or inactive your nervous system is. Sometimes if you're in like high activity, you need to move down and you need to move towards lower activity, and then the other way around. So I think like with the idea of what cold showers do is I guess it kind of depends on the person to person, but in general, it moves your nervous system towards high activity, where that shock literally forces your nervous system into that highly active state. And that is a proto skill that is shared through different types of activities. Cold shower does that on a very like visceral, physical level. So hopefully that helps. That was just, I guess let's be connecting. I think yeah, so it's me just like connecting on part of that weekend to here. And I guess yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just like training the brain in a way, training the relationship between your body and yourself. As you like do the cold showers more, I think the idea is it builds in that memory of you interacting with the water. And then from there, those parts of yourself become more related to your body. So like for me, myself, that tends to be more centered in my head. But like as you do cold showers, it literally will kind of integrate other parts of your body into your awareness. And that's why it's like high activity. But yeah, Bijou's with me. Yeah, she agrees. So yeah, that's essentially it.
And again, a shout out if anyone wants to like riff right on top of that, it doesn't need to kind of bounce back to me. In the meantime, you can just unmute. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like a recentering. Like a lot of the time, particularly if things are hectic, which I mean, in modern society, they're often fairly hectic. It's like, yeah, my mind's over here doing whatever the fuck it wants. My body's probably over here, like still waking up. My heart is like, who the fuck knows what my heart is doing? But then you get into a cold shower and you're like, oh, okay, I am all completely right here, right now. And then actually that becomes a very nice, like, okay, now where do I want to go with this? Like, what comes next? But like, it's very helpful. It can be very helpful to have that moment of like, oh, all of me is here again. Excellent. Like, great. Thanks for showing up, everybody. And you just go from there. Like one of the, I mean, yeah, and again, if anyone wants to riff on the it's often worse in your head thing, raise your hand or we'll keep going with this. Because I mean, one of the two most prominent examples from my life have always been conversations with people and new projects that I want to start. Right? If you're sitting here and you're like trying to map out, trying to think of a new project, or even just something basic, like, I'm going to make a website. You start thinking of like the 50, 100 things that will go into doing that. You're just like, oh my God, like this is overwhelming already. I haven't even fucking started the thing. But it's like, yeah, but if it's kind of like a cold shower, it's like, can I stay in here for one more second? Like, yeah, okay. Like it's kind of uncomfortable, but I can do it. Building anything is like that. It's like, can I take the first step? Yeah, there are going to be 100 steps, but I can do the first one. And if I can do the first one, I can do the second one, like really just chopping it down. The bigger one for me has always been conversations. In particular, like particularly if it's feedback or if it's something that might be perceived as like, I mean, my very direct example I already shared this week was like asking a bunch of close friends and colleagues of like, hey, dude, I need to take our call like off of my calendar. And I mean, I had a story of like, oh, they're going to think that I'm rejecting them and that I don't value the conversation. And oh my God, and it's going to become this whole thing. And I'm going to have to explain myself. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, cool, dude. Like, really glad to see that you're taking back your time. And it was like, oh, this whole thing was just a mental fuckery. And none of it actually happened in real life. And yet I was so resistant to it for so long. Yeah, I mean, does that land? Does anyone else tell themselves a story like that?
I relate to that.
I want to.
heavily.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too. It's the whole hype thing. Like the hype is the worst part of everything. Like I do it too. I think, yeah, we talked about this too. Like my version of that very recently, and it's the same thing where it's like, God, if you could just plunge into cold water, just like plunge into the other shit too. Like I get really nervous or awkward around, like, so Argentina inflation is a normal thing, which means I have to increase prices for my business on a regular basis. And I always get super fucking nervous, even though it's normal and everyone's used to it. Just like, hi, I need you to pay me more now, please. And this time, like literally just this past week, it was time to increase, and not only increase for inflation, but like I just need to charge more for all the work I do and my school does. So there's been this element of like recognizing value, recognizing like this is how much time and services are worth, this is how much I'm worth, this is how much, like, we just need to have people pay more money, and that's okay. And that has been just this huge, like, oh my God, people are gonna hate me for this. Like, I need to tell people and I need to ask them to pay more. And it's just, yeah, it lives in my head. It's this whole big terrifying thing of like, I'm gonna send this out and everyone's gonna be like, no, fuck you, I'm not gonna pay more for this. This is horrible. Like, you're greedy, you're selfish, you're whatever, right? And so I sent out this whole, so it's the same thing. It's like the fear of like other people's reactions, really. It's not even a fear about if this is a good thing to do or not, or if it's like a valid thing. It's really just the fear of like, how is it going to be received, which I think is a big just theme in humans in general, right? Like, reputation and embarrassment are very powerful factors sometimes in the way we do things or interact with other people. Anyway, so that was really present for me, but I did it. I sent it out. I was just like, look, this is what's happening, you guys. Like, love you. Just, this is what we're doing. This is what we need to charge. And I even put a note in this, like, look, the reason for this is because my teachers and I work really hard for you guys, and you know that we're worth it. So this is what we need to charge now. And yeah, so far I've gotten 0 negative feedback. Everyone's gonna be like, all right, cool, like, onward, like, whatever. And it's been like almost more like silence than like actual reactions, I guess. And that's just been like, oh, right, the world's not gonna, like, I don't need to prepare myself for war. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to prepare myself or put myself, like Evie said, like on the defense. Like, oh, I need to like explain this and defend myself. Like, no, it's okay. There's no one you need to defend yourself to or like rise up to. So anyway, bringing it back to the whole thing, it's like, yeah, just that once you, the stories in our heads are always so much scarier than the reality of what actually happens. And yeah, half the time I think we prepare or hype ourselves up for stuff that like isn't even gonna happen in real life, which is why it's so important often to just take the plunge, like dive in, and then wait and see, like, do I need to react to anything? Because like 9 times out of 10, the answer is like, no, you're fine. Like, full steam ahead, keep going, like, all is well. Yeah, learning to like take the plunge and not let the hype story or the anticipation get a hold of you. Like, just turn the knob, like, just do it. And then have confidence in yourself that you will be able to deal with anything that does come up. I think it's a lot more of a proactive way of tackling obstacles than, yeah, feeding into the hype or letting that even like paralyze you. And I mean, that comes from speaking as a person who has let fear paralyze her for several years. So easier said than done. But that's been a big part of it. It's just, yeah, just turn that knob. Like, just do it. Don't worry. You'll be fine. You'll figure it out.
It's so amazing that you've said all this. Like, you're literally speaking my language. I feel like I should have been on the call just to hear that, because that's so relevant for me as well. Like, raising my prices, like gas prices have, like, inflation is crazy here this year, especially throughout the spring. And like, I've had to raise prices on all my clients too. And I have that same like internal, like, heavy head struggle where it's like, oh no, they're gonna resent me, they're gonna hate me. But it's like, I already know I'm like doing 3 times as much as people who come in, do a mediocre job. They do the bare minimum and they're already charging twice as much by default. So it's like, why do I struggle so hard with charging my worth when it's like, it's completely justified. They know how much I do. Why am I giving myself such a hard time? The few times when I have like gone into that and done it, it hasn't been as big of a blowback as as my mind makes it out to be. So it's like, why is that so difficult? So it's crazy because, yeah, it's like, I always assume the worst or assume that they're not going to be okay with it, when it's like half of those people, they want to reward you. They want to help you like grow into that next chapter. It's like they're privileged to be a part of your growth journey. And it's like, I shouldn't assume otherwise. So like, that's really alive for me too. Like even this past weekend, like, you know, like I said, I was caring for a few dogs while a guy was out of town for like 2 weekends. It ended up becoming 3 because he was sick and got stuck abroad. He had to quarantine. And like the dog, obviously, like I said last week, like he passed away during that 3rd week when I wasn't supposed to be there. But like I did way beyond the job description at that point. Like the amount of cleanup, the amount of care, the amount of like emotional turmoil, not only just physical labor, but like emotional labor that required, and it's like that requires more money, like that I can't do that for peanuts. I shouldn't do that for free. I have to up the rate at that point. And I still haven't had that conversation with them. So like that's really like alive for me right now too, because it's like I have to go into the roar in that way and be like, hey, this, and that happened. You didn't have to go through that. I did on your behalf. And therefore, like, what I went through. And that merits this much more, so like I'm in the midst of doing that too, but like I'm still in my head about it. So it's really extremely timely that you bring that up, because that's like been relevant for me and it stays relevant still. So yeah, thank you.
Just bouncing off of the what Chloe was saying, about how like just turning the knob and just going in, and that's kind of how I used to do it with the cold shower. When I was starting with hot, I would just turn it to cold randomly, and it works really well. But now, since I've just been going straight into cold, I've been kind of amping myself up prior to doing it on purpose. So I'll put on, I've got like a playlist of like 3 songs. The first, and I just go in rapping as hard as I can. And then I just jump into the cold water and I do the last 2 songs and then I get out and I feel amazing. Sometimes the amp up, I guess, is helpful.
It's like a positive amp up. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that positive stress, because it's like you're hyped. It's like that's the positive hype. It's not like the hype where it's like, oh, I'm in my head. It's like, oh, this is about to happen. Anticipation. It's like a positive hype where it's like, I got this. Yeah.
Also, like how Eric was saying, how like the cold water really, your mind is in so many different places, and then all of a sudden you're 100% all in just right here. And music is kind of one thing that does that to people just already, is it completely centers you. So if I'm already all in one spot, it's a little bit easier for me to phase into that cold. I'm not like, because I don't need a distraction because I already have one. I'm centered on something else.
Yeah, I got like a strong feeling of this sense of like, if you're in your head, but you're also in your body, you might feel the anxiety in your head. Then as soon as you become centered, it's not like the anxiety necessarily goes away. It just changes the way that you perceive it. So you actually, instead of feeling the anxiety in your head, you feel it as like excitement or energy inside your body. So it's just kind of like things are like shifting in the moment.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest been one of the biggest shifts for me, is that anxiety and excitement feel basically the exact same in your body. It's essentially the story that you tell on which one is which. So the way it comes up for me now is like, if I feel a little nervous about something, and again, even I think the entire narrative of trying to get rid of anxiety entirely is probably incorrect. Because for me now, like I still definitely get anxious, but now it's like, oh, this thing is important to me. Like I actually give a fuck about what's about to happen here. It's actually nice to care about the outcomes of things in your life. It's like, yeah, I don't want to get rid of the fact that I care about what's about to happen here. Like this stuff is important to me. But you can get swept away extremely easily. there's something to this as well. There's an adversarial relationship to life that I want to move this to as well. But on a very, this applies, I think, both to cold showers directly and life specifically. One of the things that helps me the most, particularly if you're going in, is to do a huge exhale on the way in. Because when you jump in, you're like, oh God, oh God. Like immediately you're in this, like, you're up against the wall. You're like, God, life's kicking my ass. I'm already scared. I'm like hyperventilating. The yeah, the long, slow exhale, the actual breathing out into it is like, we're gonna be Gucci. Like this is hard, but I can do it. I can do it. And there's something about, I mean, that's why I like cold showers as a practice. They're just, it's almost not, it's rarely about the actual cold shower. It's just, how am I relating to this right now? Where am I coming from? Am I trying to make excuses? How hard am I making it on myself? Because it applies to literally everything else in life that you have any level of resistance to. But yeah, the breathing out thing is huge, where it's like, yo, it's uncomfortable, but you're not in danger. Like you're not about to die. Like you're good. You're good. It's a little uncomfortable, but all is well in the grand scheme of things. And there is that, I mean, Laura pointed to it a bit. I think Chloe also pointed to it. There's something, it's actually funny enough, I think it does relate to body keeps the score kind of trauma-based healing stuff, which is like, you're not at war with life. Like life is not like out there like preparing its ammunition and it's gonna just come start attacking you full force. It's like, bro, where did that come from? Like that feeling of the way Laura's comment landed for me, because I've done that a lot and I continue to do it a lot, which is like, particularly with conversations, but I think it applies to a lot more, which is like, I need to have every possible outcome. I'm going to think through it so that I can come up with my responses. And then they're going to say this, and I'm going to be able to say this. And then it's like, I've got like every scenario mapped out of some, yeah, expectation that they're going to be super upset. And it's like, okay, I got to prepare for this because I got to keep the peace, or I don't want them mad at me. It's like, that whole thing is an assumption. The whole thing's an assumption. Why are you assuming it's going to be bad? Why are you assuming that life is going to attack you? You're always in this like tensed up reactive state. It's just like reprogramming that is not always easy. I think there are a lot of reasons why that's not always easy, but you can do a bottom up approach as well, which is again why cold is super helpful, because afterwards your body actually calms the fuck down and you realize that you're not under attack. It's like, oh great, I don't have to be hyper reactive to this. I don't have to expect an attack with anything I do. And yeah, it doesn't mean you're not going to be stressed. That doesn't mean things aren't going to be hard. It doesn't mean that you're not actually going to receive pushback. It just means that you can handle it. You don't actually have to suffer more than is necessary about it.
Yeah.
Amen.
Go ahead. You go first, Laura.
I just wanted to
say,
say, okay, yeah, just real quick. I really appreciate you saying that, and also Darius as well, for your reframe about, you know, how like the energy that you take to be nervous is the exact same energy that you take to be excited, you know, and it's just about like changing your chip about how you address it. And it's so funny that you guys are saying that, because literally on my wall, hold on, I'm gonna show you. Flip the camera. If it's worth getting nervous about, it's worth getting excited about. So I'm like staring at that. This is like, you guys are just talking about like every little thing that's like on my mind or in my space today. It's just really funny. But yeah, I think just like you're saying, just removing that element of, you know, just building yourself up to assume that it won't go favorably, when by and large it isn't that way, you know. And it's just, those are just like the stories and those false narratives that we have to reprogram. So yeah, go ahead, Chloe.
No, that was perfect. Yeah, I wanted to just dig deeper into like the whole accepting thing, that literally everyone just talked about. Because I was thinking, two things, right? Turning the nervous / anxious feelings into excitement and accepting, and like it's the opposite of becoming apathetic about it, right? Because it's something that's important. So it's not like it just, oh, I don't care about it anymore, like fuck it. It's like, no, yeah, this is important, but now instead of being anxious, I want to be like pumped. Like that's an awesome way to
like deliberately choosing to that instead of like
Yeah.
not having any opinion on it at all. It's like you're choosing to feel that way.
I mean, that's literally like what makes being human super fun, is like challenging ourselves and progressing, not like sitting just here and being like, oh yeah, it's whatever. And so a whole part of the literal life process is like, here we go, all right, like what's next, let's do it. And turning the fear into excitement is super cool. There's something else I was thinking about, the acceptance part of it, which is kind of like I've been thinking about this a lot too, like as far as social anxiety is concerned, as far as like going into cold water is concerned, the acceptance of it, like when you figure out how to just, I say this as a person who's still very much figuring it out, but like when you find that acceptance, how do I want to say this? It takes away the need for like assumptions about what's going to happen. Let me see if I can walk this little. Darius is on this. Okay, good. I feel like someone's following me a little bit. Like, okay. Because like, let me think about this. Why are we even nervous about cold showers? Like there's an assumption there already, like, oh, it's gonna suck. It's like, well, is it? Who told you that? Why do you think that? Like even that fundamental thought itself that makes it a challenge is actually already an assumption we all have about cold water is uncomfortable. Cold water makes me feel like this. Cold water sucks, right? Like those are all actually already ingrained assumptions in our brains because our biological system is saying, no, cold, freezing bad, unhealthy.
And those were largely given to us from other people too.
From other people, like, from our bodies.
Not even our own lived in experience yet. Mm-hmm.
Like they're all, and again, this goes all the way back to like the 4 Agreements book, which if you haven't read, shout out to that book, because one of the agreements is don't make assumptions. And as soon as you start thinking about it, you're like, oh, my entire life is based on assumptions. So all that to say, like part of the process that I've been kind of, I guess, aware of with these practices is that, in order to, or as they go hand in hand, right? As you learn to just accept things for what they are and not worry about what happens, you're simultaneously becoming conscious of and hopefully breaking down these pre-existing assumptions you have about life. It's like, oh yeah, why is cold water bad? Why is cold water uncomfortable? Like, no, it's great. And then same thing, like, wait, why do I assume that people will react to me negatively for canceling calls, raising prices, being true to myself, right? Like doing the authentic things, right? And so it's a very simultaneous process of like recognizing those assumptions, diving in, and then also kind of reinforcing that, like, oh, right, I don't need to make this assumption. I can notice it, I can dive in, and I can like then just kind of complete this cycle of recognition, breaking down, pushing forward, pushing past it. And that's been super interesting to notice, both on a physical level of cold as well as the more interpersonal level of like, oh, right, I can just accept this. If I know like I'm coming from a place of authenticity and good intention, don't really need to worry about what happens, because if things do go like shit, like I'm telling myself, doesn't matter because I know I'm doing what I need to do anyway. And B, they're probably not going to. Like it's gonna be fine. So this whole like acceptance process has been super, super fun part of it. There is not predicting the outcome.
I I also feel like, it's like the energy that you bring to that conversation. So it's like, it's like how they say, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's like what you think about, you bring about. So it's like in assuming that things will go right and will go favorably, it's like we're kind of adding energy to that outcome and kind of helping that to be the case more. You know what I mean? Because it's like if you come into a conversation and be like, oh, hey, I'm gonna raise my price, but are you sure it's okay? Like I can do it a little bit less. Of course they're gonna say yes. It's like if you're not in your own corner already with it, then it's like it helps to like kind of fortify the outcome that you want if you feel confident in it, Right.
Yeah, I wanted to loop in a next kind of theme that I think is, yeah, I mean, I think it's deeply related to it. Laura's comment right there too is like, give life a chance to respond. Like particularly if you're doing like a negotiation or yeah, presenting. I mean, this has come up. One of the ways this has come up for me very directly is on sales calls for like retreats or containers, where by the time you get to the price, you're like, yeah, okay, so the price is $1,000, but already there's a payment plan and we can do a discount at that. And it's like, bro, fucking tell them the price and let them actually respond. Like you're already like teeing up like several threads of conversation and they haven't even had the chance to be like, they might just say like, yeah, cool, send me the link. It's like, bro, like give life the chance to respond. And the kind of theme that comes up for me here is like dancing with chaos. And I said I landed on dancing specifically because, well, there was one I had first written down like how can we stay grounded in chaos, or like rooted in chaos, but there's something there of like, yeah, but if you were in a relationship like dancing with someone and you just did not move, that'd be super fucking weird, dude. Like you're literally just standing there like doing nothing. And like, yes, there's definitely benefit for like groundedness and rootedness, but if you're in a dance, that'd be a very, very strange dynamic. The flip side of that too is this is the confrontational part. If you came to a dance, which is largely expressive, explorative, like more playful in nature, and you're just like, yeah, let's fucking go, like I'm gonna dance the shit out of this, like let's go. Like that's also a kind of strange energy to come from, because you could argue that life was not coming to you to do an angry dance together.
But
so
also though hard times require furious dancing. Just
yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's it's just like, yeah, there's something about the dancing or the fluidness that I think is really helpful, because you're both, kind of depends on perhaps the role you want to take, but there's a place for you to dictate where that goes, like actually be the one of like, oh no, we're going to step to the left now. There's also a receptivity to dancing that is nice, where it's like, oh, I see your move, okay, I can respond to that. And I mean, for almost anything, like this is the whole, like, what is the value of planning out conversations in your head? Like, do your first step, see what the response is, and then start going with it. But yeah, I think maybe it's a personality thing, where some people can just choose to do the super grounded, like I'm not budging on this. Some people can do the super confrontational, like, okay, I'm ready, I've got every possible explanation. And it's like neither of those were really called for, dude. Mostly because you weren't even paying attention to what was called for. And yeah, you can learn that in a cold shower. You can learn that in a conversation. You can learn that in trying to build something yourself. You can learn that building something with people. It all just relates at the end of the day.
I've been connecting this now to the Alexander Technique. I was watching this week again, diving into this, because the teacher from Michael Ashcroft did an interview with Tashin, I think this meditation guide, I forgot his name. And in this video, he was framing, like, pointing this whole thing in two ways, like two main points. like at least the one as I remember, is like this principle of inhibition and then this mind-body unity, the way he uses it. And I think these two connected, like one, like just one alone is not like the full thing. Like, but the package of this tool for me like feels already so much like encapsulating almost everything from that framing at least. So it's just yeah, I don't know. The inhibition is about this always dancing, like when you said dancing, you know, okay, checking in, what is the move, what is the move I want to make, and then the mind body unity thing is about when I move. I mean, even in the inhibition is like, it's like is there unity in the movement, in every movement, like yeah, so I found this interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I was like choreography, choreography, like how you want to do the dance, you know, you kind of know how you want to do it, you know what steps there are, but then you kind of have to, like, there's like that element of practice of just being out there and following the choreography, but also like improvising if you need to. And inhibition reminds me a little bit of like resistance. That can be like the relationship with the choreography itself. Like, you know, the dance, you know, all the steps. The only resistance or inhibition is with the choreography itself, not even the stuff inside of it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's something of, I really like this metaphor of the person who's just like, I mean, you can think of the classic like dude who's just thinking a lot and like just stuck in his head, like on a dance floor, like literally just standing there, and there's like a partner just doing stuff, kind of waiting, and he's just like, you know, stroking his beard, like figuring out what the next move is. It's like, it's just such a great, it's just such a good visual. Because yeah, thank you, Sam, for bringing up this frame. The inhibition thing is huge. And actually, it's kind of funny, like this is relating a lot to the ability to trust your body or what you actually want to do. Because quite frankly, I think you should just basically accelerate the feedback cycle of you acting and seeing what life wants to do with that, and then you acting again. But you cut that off because you're like, nah, what I want to do right now, which is, I think you can get better at figuring out what exactly you want your next step to be. That's true. I think you can cultivate that. But I think, man, I think you can learn quite quickly what you actually want the next move to be. One of my favorite go-tos has been if you can try to put the move into a binary, like yes or no, and then flip a coin. And it doesn't even matter what the coin flip is. Like when the coin is in the air, you'll know what you want to come up. And it's like, yo, the second you know what you want to do, like just go and do it. This is the inhibition part. But man, if you feel the need, or if you don't feel safe with like, yeah, what I want, I don't know if I can trust that, man. Then you get into the freaking planning and like hyper controlled fixation of like, all right, I'm gonna rehearse all of this stuff. I'm gonna go do 8 hours of research more. It's like, yo, bro, you can trust yourself. You can trust that life is gonna try to mirror back a complementary dance move, and just keep going with that. But yeah, for whatever reason, whether it's a perceived failure, whether it's the hype story that you have in your head, or whether it's some quote unquote evidence from your childhood or your past that is like, oh yeah, but it's not safe, I can't do that. You, yeah, severely inhibit yourself, and you are just the thing that is that obstacle, right? That's why it takes so long to get into the cold shower. That's why you delay having that conversation for 3 months. That's why that project has sat in the back burner of your head for like a year and a half now. It's why you bought the domain name and there's nothing else other than the domain name. It's like, bro, just breathe out, like go, like stop tensing up, stop fucking just like, I don't know what to do. Like, yeah, you do. trust yourself and get on the way.
Yeah, I think inhibition gets to the heart of like basically everything. Like, not only is that like a good segue into like going into the cold, like, you know, before we go in, it's like, oh, like all our stories come up and it's like, why can't I do it? Like, why can't I just like be in my body? It's like we get in our head too much. But it also, like what you're saying right now reminds me of the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. I saw her, like a live lecture of hers at a conference I went to a handful of years ago. And it's like just the idea of like, okay, like short circuiting your brain before you can like convince yourself otherwise to not do the thing. It's like do it within 5 seconds, because there's like a small window before your inhibition kicks in. So if you can break that, it's like, like for example, I have a shirt, like, you know, pile of clothes. It's like, oh, I'll fold it later. It's like, no, do it right now. Just do the thing. It'll take you 47 seconds and that will save you like 23 minutes of thinking about it all the rest of the day. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, there's a few dishes in the sink. It's like, oh, I could do it now and just put it in. Then it doesn't have to like mountain up and become a big pile. And it's like, oh, no, I'll do it later. It's like, no, just do it right now. Just do it right now. It'll take 23 seconds and then you'll have it done. And it's like one less thing that you have to be like fixating on the rest of the day. So it's like just the idea of like going right into it. Like when it crosses your mind, just do the thing right then, because then that'll help you to like eliminate things from your like mental and like literal to-do list. Just do it right away before you can convince yourself not to. Or like, oh, I think of that person, oh, let me text them. It's like, oh, no, they're probably busy, or like I don't have time to like get into the stick of things. Like just do it right then before you can convince yourself not to do it. Like just message the person, just do the thing. Or if like you were saying earlier, like reclaiming your time, like cancel it. If you have to like cancel the call, like reclaim your time, do what you have to do to like be in your own corner more. And like usually people will like support you doing what's best for you if they're a good friend, you know, like if they're a supportive person in your life, you know, they'll honor you doing what you need to do. So yeah, 5-second rules I feel like really important with cold immersion and just with like life immersion in general.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's actually, yeah, go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Nava. Yeah, I just want to add to the word inhibition. I feel like the way I use it, or the way I use it is like even when there's like okay, you for example the 5-second rules, yeah, and you choose to do the 5-second rules before you commit to some conclusion you don't want to make. So there's that you can, the inhibition for me is often like, okay, I inhibit this move even. So any move I could make, I can inhibit. Are you saying this is correct? I don't know. And so, but then I thought, okay, so even when you have when you have the unity of action and the possibility of inhibition, and at some point you could think like, okay, when are these the same thing? Like also, or if your phrase like, what is a need? When you have a need and a desire, and if it becomes the same thing, like there's no difference anymore. I don't know.
You're like wanting what you need so that you can just proceed.
Yeah, this sounds to me like almost like, okay, far into the, I don't know, like you have to be quite, I don't know, enlightened, I don't know, whatever, to do that. so for inhibition is for me just this just more of at the moment still more an idea than something I really use daily or in each moment. Yeah, but yeah.
But the seed is planted, though. That's what matters. You never know when it will germinate.
Yeah, and I'll just add one quick thing, I guess, to the seed, like the idea of well, I just love this metaphor that came to my mind, is comparing the speed of thought versus the speed of intention. Intention is much faster, in the sense that when you feel like you have something you want, or you feel like there's something you need, that sensation is going to be much faster than a plan where you think about how you're going to get it. So anytime you're involving thinking, it's always going to be a little bit slower than if it was from like pure intention of your awareness. This is very enlightening thing as you like dive into that.
Yeah, and there's something there's something right here around the inhibition and the life immersion thing, which is like if you, I'm trying to think of an example. Like when I was a little kid, I loved like amusement parks, like theme parks and roller coasters and shit, or just like anything, you know, bouncy castles, like anything that got you excited. The minute you like walk through the door, like a kid would just run towards it. They're like, fuck yeah, like this is going to be amazing. Why the heck would I not go immerse myself in the thing as quickly and as immediately as possible? Right? The only reason you wouldn't do that is if you didn't think the thing was going to be awesome, right? Is if you actually felt like it was going to be unsafe, or yeah, you were going to get hurt, or it was not going to be a good outcome. The it's I think it's really confronting actually. It's like, well, at what point did you stop feeling that way about all of life? Like where did when did life become the thing that was not going to work out, that was going to end poorly? Like why the fuck would you not just run open armed, super excited towards everything? Because when did you figure out that it was going to be the thing that didn't work, or that it was going to be bad for you, or whatever? It's like, where did the inhibition come from?
Insane.
It's big. Yeah, it's a big one. And actually, again, like I think my last point here is this is really why I like and have come to like more and more the very confrontational physical challenges, like the things that are in many ways like biological life or death necessities. Like, yeah, if you stay in ice water long enough, you're going to die. Yeah, if you do not eat food like for fasting long enough, you're going to die. Sleep deprivation, I mean, even some psychedelics are like compounds. Like you're flirting with like the most, in theory, dangerous part of life. And actually, even that, you're like, I can do this. Like I can go a day without food. I can go 3 days without food. I can go a day without sleep. Like, yeah, that's cool. Oh, I can go without a bed. Like, that's cool. I'm not going to die. And just this, you start again, actually programming your body of like, man, if the most physically dangerous things for me aren't actually that dangerous acutely, like I think I'm gonna be okay. Because yeah, this flip, like if you can really chew through the stuff that inhibits you and stops you from running towards life like everything is going to be fucking awesome, you become largely unstoppable. Life is immersing itself for you, Lauren. So,
Yeah, always.
Laura, sorry.
Yeah, but that happens though. It's like depends on like what you're talking about or like what you're focusing on. Like it just like animals just like flock. Like they just like flow into my experience. It's really kind of trippy. Like they're all just like looking in. Like there was one right here and then right there. And they were all just like looking in, but then like with their mouths open. Like they were hungry. So I don't know. So it was so trippy, like what you were saying, and then there's just like all these animals like looking at me. I'm just like, what's going on? Oh, there's a little one right there.
So I want to do I want to do a round of like, yeah, what comes next almost. Because yeah, just want to honor the time that we're at here. So maybe we can do a popcorn round of, I guess one is like, yeah, how are you? And I think the prompt I want to give is something like, how can you run towards life a little bit more this week? Something about the life immersion is so good. I don't actually want to start. I think I'm gonna popcorn it to Chloe.
That felt like a cop out. How do you feel and where can you run into life more this week? Yeah, I feel like I'm actively in the process of that switching, that converting. It's not even switching, just converting anxious energy into excitement, which there's still a lot of excitement too, but just, converting the remnants of anxiety and fear into like a hell yeah. feel that like happening constantly inside of myself. So that is how I feel. And running into life next week, I mean, I guess two things specifically. One is like, yeah, I've bridged the gap to just starting cold showers cold. So we'll see if I can do that next week. Like no more starting hot, just like rage into it. If anyone makes like a super badass playlist or are using one that they want to share, that would be super cool to see. I don't feel any specific inspiration for cold shower music, so would love to like hear yours to accompany it. And then I think the second one is a little more abstract, but just like, yeah, I have a very big project undertaking right now, and I feel like I always get bogged down with other bullshit work instead of just like doing that. So just not fucking around and making that the first priority of the day every day, just making it happen. It's kind of abstract, but that's really what I'm running into, how I'm running into life right now. It's just no, this is the most important thing. This is a big undertaking, just like work on it. Not kidding myself about priorities. Like, oh yeah, but I have this message to respond to, and I have this email. It's like, yeah, that can wait. Like, you need to do this first. So that where it belongs. All right, I'll popcorn it to Darius.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess I feel like today I'm feeling a lot better than I was this week. Not that it was a bad week. Definitely was a point of like, I think I'm just recognizing that I'm like in the midst of a deprogram. There's definitely a programmatic behavior that I'm finding. And this week is me just realizing that this me feeling bad was really just a program that I habitually enter. And that this is me being aware of it, which is such kind of a surreal feeling. But so I think the cold shower is going to be a good way to kind of center back into, I guess, just like more routine things which are actually rituals. So kind of like honing it, using the shower and the morning and evening rituals to kind of just, I guess, center back into the body again, which for me is like targeting those parts of the program. So like when it comes to the cold shower, showers is already a thing. I think the thing there is just kind of moving through it even when there's resistance. Feeling like if I just do the cold shower, even if that's the only thing I do is like quote unquote, that's okay. There's definitely other things I have to do, but if I can make some progress, then that's worthwhile to kind of, I guess, focus on. So yeah, so cold showers and then I guess a list of other things I want to do, but that's the start. And then I guess last thing, and thank you guys for the energy and the sharing space, because that definitely has helped me kind of stay a little more rigid. Bijou says hi, and then I will pass. I will pass it to EV.
Ah, nice. Yeah, I feel good. I feel like I feel like I have more dancing to do. I feel like I've been the rooted, grounded example, and it's like, no, time to move. Time to fucking move. I really like the direction of these calls, the more fluid, conversational, thematic thing. Big on that. Yeah, and actually, funny enough, it almost becomes the exact same answer. How I want to get more immersed in life is like, damn, really getting the fucking circle transition like ported over and pouring a lot more of myself into the on the ground community and dojo space I have a whole bunch of things that have been interesting to me the past few weeks that I want to start sharing and getting some conversations around. And yeah, so actually just showing up for that, running towards that, is probably the biggest thing for me this week. Yeah, I'll popcorn to Bailey.
I actually, on my last paycheck, I decided to like I kind of impulsively signed up for Jordan Peterson's personality course and his self-authoring program, and I've been kind of like putting off actually starting it. So I think this week I might try and get myself to actually start doing that stuff. And I have a single ice tray, my my freezer that I've been constantly filling freezer bags with ice, getting prepared to do an ice bath. So I think I might try that this week. We'll see how that goes. um, I will popcorn to Samuel.
Thank you. Well, it's almost difficult to bring the ball rolling. Yeah, I don't know. In the last months, my mind has mostly been on the project I'm working, and now I'm really focused on this migration thing, and there's not much, I feel, space to explore other things. Currently, I have my things set up that I'm doing regularly, and cold showers are a good part of this now. I mean, happened before, but now this starting with cold is something new, and I start to enjoy it. And yeah, increasing the intensity or the today was most intense, so this was so interesting work to work. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to explore it more, and I'm looking forward to like kind of like having space for more other things. At the moment, this project is just like there's a sense of I just need to finish this and then the other, and before that, it's I don't know what's going on there in the back, but I think there's multiple things. But yeah, that's how it feels, and it's good. It's okay. I enjoy it also. I mean, I enjoy it, and at the same time, it's like hopefully I'm not destroying anything or like doing something too much or something like this. Because there's some signs also like, well, I don't know how I'm solving them. Yeah, okay. I think I enjoyed that call also. Getting to talk a little bit, always difficult for me. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Today, in the beginning, was a little more difficult. The second half was more easy. I found my way into actually what we talked, practicing what we talked, and yeah, cool. Thank you. Damn it.
Good catch.
Oh.
I think that was a pass to you, Laura.
Laura, did you hear me?
Oh no. I'm sorry. Yeah, so for me, I mean, like I've been pretty heavy on the whole life immersion thing, and it's immersing with me back, but like yeah, like I guess for me, just prioritizing that reframe of like I have so much that could potentially just like cloud my mind right now and get me anxious, especially like days away from an international trip and like a long-term trip. So I guess just doing my best to focus on like being excited about all these things that I have to do because I know what's to come of it and like the long-term gain, even if the short term is like, you know, so just like getting a, you know, if it's worth getting nervous about, it's worth getting excited about. So just staring at that a lot on my wall, and yeah, just trying to, you know, stay in the game until I'm in a position where I can relax, because that's still a few days away. But just, you know, just keeping up the momentum for now, because I can't slip right now. Like, I know how much I have on my plate, and I just gotta just go. And I think compartmentalizing will be a big part of my picture, because, you know, if you don't, so you don't get overwhelmed by like everything all at once, just baby steps and just divide and conquer, you know. So that's where I'm at. But yeah, this call was really good. And even last week too, like just having the smaller, just, you know, more fluid talking, I really enjoy it. So thank you all for being here.
Billy, have you gone? Yeah. I need to eat. Yeah, I think everyone's gone. Awesome. How are we doing on time? 1 minute. We're getting better at the timings too. Super excited about that. Yeah, I guess a few final comments. Yeah, one other challenge for everyone, just as a reminder, is both, if you haven't come into Circle, like join the platform. The second is, I want to see or read the best introduction you can write about yourself. It's always really good practice to try to be your own. Yeah, look at Bailey. Always good practice to try to be your own like hype man around that, and actually just be like, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I'm great at, this is what I care about. Always really good practice. So yeah, would love to see some introductions coming into that space.
Will we be limited to the amount that we can put in the thing? Because I know on Mighty, it's like you have a certain amount of characters, so it's like make it succinct or don't make it anything.
I don't believe so. Like I don't think there's a character limit. I mean, you can put photos and shit if you want, or you could record a video and do the video. Like, I don't know, up to you and how you want to do that. But yeah, would love to see an intro to some people. Yeah, I guess the only final comment I have is, I mean, we're still in the last week of cold showers. I think most people have a kind of goal they wanted to do by the end of the month. So if you're still tracking on that, now is the time. And yeah, I think the other comment about life immersion is like, it's easy, I think, to fall into the trap of believing that that means you have to do more. If you are inhibiting yourself, or if you are holding yourself back, then yeah, probably does mean doing the thing that you're holding yourself back from. It can also just mean arriving more deeply at whatever the fuck you're actually doing. Like, actually just be there, right? Be in the cold, stop running away from it. Be at breakfast instead of on your phone during breakfast. Like, life immersion can also just mean showing up for life as it exists right now. It's not imperfect. It doesn't have to come. Immersing doesn't only mean taking on more. It can be just arriving more deeply.
Yeah, like the energy you bring to what you're doing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like immersion is a choice, I guess is a way you could say it, right? You can choose to pull yourself out of it. You can choose to put yourself very directly in it.